Yeah, with OnEBoard, it's session 216 on the day of summer solstice. It's summer is starting today. We have a wonderful presenter. Our very own Peggy will be talking about vertical and horizontal format. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being with us. I am with Peggy and Bob. And again, this is Tech Topic session 216. Put your questions in the live chat and we will address them. Thank you. Peggy?
Thank you, Nina. So what I want to talk about today is dual format streaming. It's a hot topic. It's something that's coming up on YouTube and Twitch. So dual format streaming is when you live stream to one platform in both vertical and horizontal orientation.
Wow.
And I'm mostly going to talk about why you would want to do this rather than all the technical details, partially because the technical stuff, a lot of that's outside my area of expertise, but I'll have some information and we'll have links in the news article. And just as a total aside, I tried to use AI to create slides, but it failed every time because it has to show the same stream in both orientations, and the AI wants to make it totally different everywhere. So it was interesting, and that's the whole point, right? That they are identical streams; they're basically just cropped differently.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the idea is really simple. You're sitting at your computer, you have your camera, there's, recording, it goes out, and it creates two streams, one that's in horizontal format and one that's in vertical format. And the idea is that there can be two different audiences because people watching on their phones, people watching on their TV, people watching on their computer, different people. But there is a single combined chat so that you can have people on these different devices all part of the same discussion. So this is not the same as multi-streaming, which is kind of related. Multi-streaming usually refers to live streaming to multiple platforms at the same time. So if you're live streaming to YouTube and Twitch and TikTok and Instagram at the same time, that's multi-streaming, sort of the same idea, right? It's one stream going through and then it gets processed and sent out to the different destinations. But this is going to the same YouTube channel, just two different formats at the same time. So what is the advantage of this? Nina, you want to ask something?
Yeah, Diego is saying that you just streamed live on your own platform, Peggy, and that you were streaming in this new format. So I'm happy we already have feedback from Diego that he says it's pretty neat to reach new viewers, and it's very useful to understand how is this magic possible. Thank you, Diego.
Yes. So I'll get to that. I'll even show you a screenshot of what my dashboard looks like when I'm streaming on YouTube. So why would you do this? First of all, there are a lot of viewers on mobile. Supposedly about 69% of YouTube viewership is on mobile devices. That's estimated because YouTube didn't say that. But Twitch has said that 70% of new Twitch viewers are coming on mobile devices. They're calling mobile the front door to Twitch. So if you want to reach audiences that are on mobile, you should stream in a mobile-friendly format. This is also optimized for the viewer. So if you're using your phone, which would you rather watch? I have two versions. It's the same streamer, but you could watch a landscape option, you know, teeny tiny, or you could watch the full screen version that's cropped. And I think most people find the full screen version much more appealing. It's also easier to discover. So on YouTube, a huge advantage of vertical live streaming is that it can appear in the shorts feed. So if people are scrolling through shorts, they may see a vertical stream there. The vertical stream itself isn't short, but it's in that format. And so people can click in and watch it right from the shorts feed, which obviously opens up a much larger audience on mobile devices. And Twitch says that vertical layouts stand out in their mobile feed. They don't have a shorts feed, obviously, but they do have a feed of live streams. And if you're on your phone, the vertical live stream is going to look much more appealing than a landscape live stream that's teeny tiny. So another final thing that I think is useful, if you have your vertical live stream nicely formatted, if you want to create clips to share, you can do it really easily from the recording. Sometimes there's built-in clipping. You know, it's vertical, so then you can easily share it to Reels or TikTok or Shorts or wherever you want to do. So those are some of the advantages of having a vertical live stream. Again, all of these advantages assume that you normally stream in landscape format. That is the assumption. That's certainly true with most gamers. And this makes vertical live streaming appealing. Yeah, Nina?
So Diego is answering, it looked very nice, your own live stream just before this stream. And he's saying it looks very nice, like a TikTok live stream. So this makes me laugh a little bit. And I'm asking also you and Diego, is TikTok live streaming setting the standard in live streaming? Sorry, I know young generations on TikTok, but I would disagree with setting the standards. So, yeah, please tell me. I am so old-fashioned.
It's definitely, but it's popular, right? So, you know, I think that you've got to get, the question is, are you willing to meet the audience where they already are, or are you asking your potential audience to come to where you are? So I think that that's the sort of take-home lesson. And I wanted to mention specifically that YouTube does have vertical live streaming from the YouTube app. That's only a vertical stream, and it has a bunch of special features for vertical streaming. You can add stickers for polls and quizzes, or if you do YouTube shopping, that's easy to do. So if your audience is primarily interested in vertical viewing, you might want to just use the built-in live streaming on YouTube because that has these additional features. But for what I do, that's not true. I wanted to talk just really briefly about some of the technical options. There are instructions on YouTube and Twitch in their help centers, how to set this up. We'll link to that in the news article. Like I said, I'm not really good at a lot of the technical things. If you use the special settings inside YouTube Live Control Room in YouTube Studio, it only creates a center crop of your horizontal stream. That is fine if you are just talking, but if you are showing slides or playing a game or anything like that, that's not a great layout necessarily, which is why most people, I think, use third-party tools. You can use OBS. That's open broadcaster software that's free. A lot of people who are really into live streaming use OBS, and then there are plugins for that, like the Atom vertical stream plugin. This is actually mentioned by Twitch specifically as a popular way to dual stream. You can also use Streamlabs. Streamlabs has free multi-streaming with dual output. So if you use the Streamlabs platform, multi-streaming is usually something you have to pay for. It's a part of the paid subscription, but they say if you're doing dual output, so that's YouTube or Twitch, dual format streaming, you can pick one vertical, one landscape, and you can do that without having to pay anything. This is for the desktop software, which I think it may only be for Windows. Streamlabs software. Streamlabs also has a plugin for OBS. Most of these streaming platforms do. So if you use OBS, you can use that for formatting and so forth. And I wanted to mention specifically one of the features they talk about. Yes, Nina, before I say that.
There's a question about the chat on the two streams. It looks like it's there's no one single chat for the two streams. Can you explain this technicality?
So it depends on how you have it configured. If you use the built-in dual format streaming for Twitch or YouTube, there should be one unified live chat for both. I'm using a third-party tool, Restream. However they have it configured, it's not creating a unified chat that people can see. I can see the unified chat from both streams at the same time, but the other people in the live chat are not seeing the chat for both. I think that that's because however Restream has it configured isn't using the built-in dual streaming. Like I said, I tried to figure out the more technical aspects, and that's really not my area of expertise. I'm just using what's working for me. But if you do use the built-in dual format streaming, you should get a unified chat. You may need to use OBS for that, though.
Yeah, maybe it will adjust because it's a very new feature. And usually platforms need sometimes to adjust to the new YouTube. Usually is
yes, I will say for Twitch, they literally rolled out dual format streaming a few days ago. So this is brand new on Twitch. On YouTube, they mostly rolled this out at the beginning of the year, but yeah, a lot of the third-party platforms are still updating, and I assume it will get easier over time. I wanted to highlight one of the things that Streamlabs calls out. It says, let our servers do the work. With most of our other tools, your internet has to upload each stream separately, draining bandwidth and risking quality crashes. So this is a potential issue with multi-streaming, with dual format streaming. If you're processing everything on your computer, it has to process multiple streams. And then it has to send out multiple streams. That could be double the bandwidth you have to use. So if you use a service that processes it on their servers in the cloud, you're taking all of that heavy weight off of your own computer and letting them do it, which is one of the real advantages of having a service that you usually have to pay for. But that is an important thing to consider if you're setting this up. I definitely don't have the processing power, I don't think, to run multiple streams. So for example, you can use Restream, you can use something like StreamYard. These are the announcements they made where you could do streaming at the same time. StreamYard calls it MARS, multi-aspect ratio streaming, which is kind of cute. There are other services as well. XSplit, Meld, StreamRun are other ones that I have heard mentioned, Twitch has mentioned. So there's a lot of options out there. Most of them, though, you have to pay for a subscription, a higher tier platform to actually get these features. If you do it all with OBS and the free plugins, then it's free, but you have to manage more on your own. And so this is my control room in Restream. And I wanted to highlight this because Restream actually lets you choose which format you have. So the way I usually stream is with me and a presentation. And these are some of the built-in options they have. You can see some of them look good on vertical, but not so good on landscape. Some of them look good on landscape, but not so good on vertical. I'm using the one at the bottom right corner where it's basically two squares, a square with me and a square with the presentation. So I make my presentation in square format to do that, but it seems to work out nicely. I'm glad Diego said that it looks good. YouTube also announced you can actually have two separate stream keys if you want to set up a separate layout for vertical and landscape. But again, if you're doing that yourself, you need more processing power. You need more bandwidth to do that. So I'm sticking with the third-party tools. So that's my overview of how it works. And I think I'd love to hear what people think, if this is something that is good for them when they're watching, if they think this would reach an audience they would be missing otherwise. Because I just wanted to mention on mine, I definitely get more views of my live stream on the vertical live stream than I do on the landscape one.
Yeah, thank you so much for this presentation. First, I'm very satisfied, like, to hear that developers are looking into live stream. It looks like the future of live stream is well prepared, and if someone has their career focused on this, they can definitely expand, and maybe AI will give many refinement and nuances, how you stream, which platforms, and how to optimize this. So I'm super happy to learn, because we are streaming for so many years. I forgot that it's a huge other industry related to live streaming. So thank you so much for this overview, and very, very useful. And for the technical side you used and you presented, it doesn't look so impossible to learn. So it will be very useful.
Well,
too.
if you have an account on one of these platforms that does the hard work for you, definitely do it that way, because it's less things to fuss with. I know a lot of people like getting their hands in there and actually doing all the details themselves. You definitely can do that, like YouTube from Live Control Room, and Twitch has their own settings as well. You need to get things like your stream keys and stuff like that. And I get flustered enough trying to organize myself without worrying about all that, but maybe it's easy if you do it all the time. And I think people, a lot of this is aimed at people who do gaming live streams. They already have computers with a lot of graphical computing power just to run the games. They may be able to have better processing power for managing the live streams as well. I'm mostly using a Chromebook, which obviously doesn't have a lot of processing power. And so I need a service that processes everything in the cloud and does all the technical stuff for me, so I don't have to worry about that. I just pick out the layouts and overlays and things like that.
It will be best if Google Meet introduces this format. That's the question of Diego. I bet it will.
I think one of the things that's really disappointing to me about Meet live streaming is it doesn't let you choose the layout at all.
Yes.
If you're presenting to other people,
Peggy, it's a feature to request. We just now.
I've requested it multiple times, and they are definitely ignoring me. So it's really, what I sometimes Google does things kind of halfway, where they kind of introduce something and they see if people use it, and then
now that TikTok is saying it's fancy, Google Meet will follow.
Hey, Peggy,
Yes.
Yes, Bob, thank you for your
Peggy,
question.
I got a question for you, Peggy. It looks to me like I don't know, I might be wrong about this, but a way to make your content more usable, vertical or landscape, is to make it square. Is that correct?
Well, so
So you could put
what
you
I
could,
wanted
yeah,
was a nice layout that looked good both on vertical and
right,
landscape format. And for the layouts offered by Restream, now other platforms may have other default layouts you can pick. I thought it looked best if it was two squares, so they can either be side by side or one on top of the
yeah,
other. And I like that because it makes the presentation big enough to actually see, and it makes
right.
me big enough to actually see. It seems to be a good balance, but there may be other formats. You know, if you do a landscape presentation, that's going to be shrunk down a lot more in the
Yeah.
vertical
Yeah, well,
feed.
I'm just thinking that by making it square, you take whatever product you're going to use and you're just putting it into a shell, basically.
Yeah.
That's it. So, so a square would fit in either a vertical or a landscape shell pretty easy.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is that you could do that and not have to do a dual stream in some cases.
No.
You see
It might
what I
be
mean?
nice if for
Right,
landscape as well.
right. So the person viewing it could still, without doing a dual stream, I mean, if you put it up in as a landscape, they could still see it okay, even using their smartphone.
Yeah, you know, I kind of feel like I should have started doing that format a long time ago, even before I
Yeah.
was able to stream in multiple formats, because like you said, I think it's visually appealing there.
Oh, you know
Again,
what? I
yeah,
yeah, I think this thing is fantastic. What this dual streaming is. I'm just thinking that going back to the cons of it, where you need processing horsepower if you don't do, like with Restream and have their servers do all the hard work. I think it's tremendous because it allows the creator to not worry about, should I do vertical or should I do landscape, when you can do both at the same time, given that you signed up for one of these third-party services that actually do all the hard lifting for you. But I think maybe the other con for me would be that if it takes a center crop solely,
yeah.
that might not work very well.
No,
Yeah, I have an experience to share from this week. It's a little bit from another angle, from another viewpoint, but I had a recording that was landscape, and I cropped it in Magisto, which is a paid platform for cutting video, to create a vertical video. And it was an ugly content. And I know sometimes we use ugly content in order to catch attention, but this one, because the original had blurry camera, for the landscape, it wasn't so much distracting if you put some other videos and frame it like in between, um, the sequence of the frames. But when you put it in front of person's eyes, it becomes not just ugly, but it's disturbing to watch because it's so yes. So I would not dare do things technically when just experimenting with the formats, and it turns to be disturbing for the audience. If it's made on purpose to be ugly, like sarcasm or humor or something like seconds, it's something else. But what I received, like this video I recorded, delivered a bad content, so I just deleted it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because if you have, a landscape video, high definition resolution, you chop it like this, and it's either going to be lower resolution, you're going to have to blow it up. Yeah, it doesn't look great. So it is nice to have a vertical version that I already know looks good as a vertical video.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I stopped cropping the vertical formats from our live streams to go to the short format, except if they are so important with some tips that you usually produce our own vertical format.
Yeah, it frustrates me so much that Meet has like one live streaming format and it shows the presentation fine, but the person is always teeny tiny, so you can't really repurpose that easily and have it look good.
It has some advantages though. For the people who are age, you cannot see all the wrinkles.
Speak for yourself there, Nina.
I'm speaking for myself.
That's true.
Okay.
And Meet also has those makeup filters that you can use.
Makeup,
You want to
I
look
don't use
glamorous.
that.
Oh my God.
It's not working. I will not recommend it. Like, it's very artificial.
So Peggy, not in your final analysis, but in your analysis in using it so far, are you satisfied with the results of the?
I am.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
So, I've definitely have expanded my audience. Now, whether that actually means those people will stick around and come back, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that it's valuable to at least get your stuff out there in front of people's eyes. You see it, someone scrolling on their phone. Oh, they may see this. Maybe they'll subscribe and they'll actually watch more content later on. That is always the hope. And and it's easy enough to do, again, because I have a paid subscription to Restream. So it's not free, but I have these tools. It's just an extra click, to start the second stream. So why not?
Right. Yeah. The dual streaming format seems to be perfect for like people just sitting there in front of a microphone. That way you don't have to worry about camera movement or anything. And in fact, the crop thing is going to work perfect. The other statement or thought that I have is that, increasingly the society is going to, smartphones, mobile phones. How is that going to work in the future? Because the limitations to a vertical format are really are going to be hard to get around. Like in the background now, we have a little slice of the forest, and is that really capturing everything that we want, or is it my imagination that we need more?
So
no, it will not sustain because what we see in the forest. I'm like a consumer saying that what I see is beautiful landscape, and I don't look like this in the environment. I don't chop it like this, so it will never.
I think it means that you do have to be thoughtful about your layouts and how it looks vertically. It's definitely a different thing. There's a really cool feature. I haven't actually tried this, but on Twitch, they say if you have the dual format streaming configured correctly, if someone's watching on their phone vertically and they turn their phone to landscape, it flips it to the landscape feed, which is YouTube definitely doesn't do that. So that's really super cool.
Wow. No.
So someone could switch that way.
That's, I think that Kim said and sent me a screenshot. That's how he's watching on his mobile, the stream from Google Meet. If he's watching us right now, again, he's flipping and watching landscape.
Huh.
So maybe he's seeing much of the forest. It's a very beautiful background, by the way. We usually add it to our roundup article. You can check. It is very vivid. We generate it with Google Meet. And I think we don't have other questions, and said goodbye already. It's time. Thank you, Peggy. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, everyone who's watching. And Diego, Jolene, Andrew, thank you so much. And join us again for the 3 tips in 10 minutes on the last Sunday of June. Happy summer. Summer started today. Thank you.
Happy summer.
That's right. Thank you. Have a great sunshiny day.